So, what can you tell me about Jimmy Savile? Probably quite a lot, and not about his DJing or marathon running. But what if we were in Northern Ireland, what could you tell me? Well, possibly not a lot, and let me explain why. They've just introduced a new law there that says where somebody has either been reported to the authorities for certain offences, and you can probably guess which sort. YouTube doesn't like them, but you know, because of who we're talking about. Or, even if nobody's reported, if the police are conducting an investigation into somebody about those offences, you're not allowed to mention that. You mustn't speak of it or identify the person. Now, you might say, well, you know, what, you know, Mr. S has shuffled off this mortal coil. And it's like, well, no, it actually survives. You can't do it for up to 25 years after they have died. Okay? So you can't mention anything about them while the investigation is going on, or they are being investigated, and that carries on until 25 years after their death. Now, once they have either been charged or a warrant has been issued for their arrest, then you can mention it, subject to all the usual reporting restrictions. Also, you can apply to the court for that restriction to be lifted. But what if you said, well, hang on a second, I didn't even know they were being investigated. I just, you know, was just repeating some rumours or something like that. And, you know, aside from all the defamation aspects, it is a defence to show that you did not know or you had no reason to suspect that they were under investigation. Once you have raised that and put in evidence that that is the case, the prosecution then have to prove to the requisite standard so that the jury would be sure, or actually it's a magistrate's court offence, so the magistrates would be sure that you did actually know that the proceedings were afoot. But yeah, I just thought, you know, again, you might find that interesting. Like I said, this is currently over in Northern Ireland. Now, it's an unusual piece of legislation, obviously. I mean, people have spoken before about, you know, not anonymity for suspects until they're charged. But it does seem that this came in by accident, that the report that recommended this meant in relation to people who were the victims of such offending. And the idea is that you couldn't, you know, they were allowed to rest in peace. So even after they had, you know, sort of passed away, you couldn't sort of suddenly wait and go, oh, actually, these were the people at the heart of all that investigation. But it ended up being passed to apply to suspects as well. So, you know, might we see something like that here? Well, probably not. There's nothing sort of in the offing about that. And like I said, the fact that this appears to be accidental legislation probably negates against that. But there you go. So, yeah, if you know of any suspects in Northern Ireland, keep stum about them, or you could go to prison for up to 6 months. I'd like to thank Joshua Rosenberg for this one, because he alerted me to this new law. And I'm actually using his Savile example, because I tried to think of an original one rather than just plagiarise what he was saying, and I couldn't. But anyway, as always, hope you found that vaguely interesting, possibly vaguely useful, maybe if you're a journalist or a vlogger or something like that. If you did, please consider clicking, liking, subscribing. I should pull some faces for the YouTube thumbnail, because it really works that. Since I sold my soul and went all YouTubey, I got a message from YouTube saying, you've increased viewership by 536%. There you go. So I'll pull some faces. I'll also stand out the way. This is a place called Milo. It's a really lovely church, this. It's a fantastic cemetery because it's full. Lots of sailors ended up here. And you can probably see through the trees that's Milo Harbour. But yeah, now I'll try and find another angle to do another video.